Welcome to the Franchise Show. I hope you're all doing well and you've had a good week in franchising. I've had a good week myself and very excited today because this is an incredibly special episode of the Franchise Show. You will notice that I am not in my normal Harry Potter-esque under the stairs office. I am actually at Sky HQ. I mean, it's unbelievable. But anyway, excitement is high today. Where do we always start? We always start by letting you know what the premise of this show is, what the idea behind it is. And the Franchise Show, as you can imagine, is about franchising. But it's about a lot more than that. If you're an entrepreneur or if you're a franchisor or a franchisee, then this is somewhere that you can go to engage in conversation and debate about all sorts of different aspects of franchising. And it's really inclusive. This show is what it is because of the community of people that are around it. So what do? Every week we take a different topic and we have a good old deep dive into that topic. And it's always a very free-ranging conversation, and it's always driven by the people that are here. So this week, the topic is franchise TV advertising. Being at Sky, it could be no other. But it's going to be a really interesting conversation, and we are going to delve a lot deeper into how this wonderful industry can help the franchise industry. So without further ado, I would love to introduce you to our wonderful guest, good friend of mine, and it's Kurt Edwards from AdSmart. So Kurt,
good afternoon.
Welcome to the Franchise Show. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us. Loving the backdrop there.
We have Sky News broadcasting live now from Sky HQ. So I thought it was very apt to have that as a backdrop. But thank you very much for the opportunity and delighted to be here.
No problem at all. We've already got some wonderful people here, which is fantastic to have everyone here. While I start putting a few names up on the screen, perhaps you could let us know how Sky is working with the franchising industry and what sort of services that you're offering.
Thank you. Look, Sky is a very large company within a very large organisation. So we're actually owned by Comcast out of the States, who bought us a number of years ago. And our sister company is NBC over in the United States also. And as you can imagine, QSR and franchising over there is a huge market. And here in the UK, we are a business of some 30,000 employees with lots of different divisions. So actually, someone like Sky Connect, for example, provides the connectivity for brands like Burger King. We have Sky Business, who provides connectivity and sports through TV in pub chains like Mitchells and Butler. And then through my sort of team here at Sky Media, we work with lots of franchise brands when it comes to TV advertising. And it's and franchising is really an industry that we've just started to really sort of embrace over the last 2 or 3 years, because we just felt there was a huge opportunity. And you know, we already work with lots of franchise brands, but we just hadn't really sort of connected the dots internally. And it's been really receptive, and it's just great industry to be working with.
Fantastic, and thank you for the fantastic introduction there. And also, I've got to say thank you and Sky for the wonderful tour we've had today. It's been an incredibly exciting day for me and my lovely son. So wanted to say thank you to everyone for that. Before we get into the conversation a little deeper, I want to recognise the wonderful people that have joined us already today. We've got Natalia. Fantastic to have you here, Natalia. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on how we can use the media to help our franchise businesses. And Natalia is going to be a future guest, so look out for that one when we're going to be talking all things legal. We've also got Sanjay here. Great to have you, Sanjay. We have the ever wise Simon Wise. He loves that joke. Great to have you here, Simon. Simon is from FranRec, and he is everything recruitment in the franchising world. So looking forward to hearing your thoughts on how TV fits into franchising. And we've got Katrina Newman here. That's fantastic. First time to the show, but you're very welcome. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this fascinating subject. We have the lovely Julie Waits. Good evening from the cloudy northeast of England. I'm sure the sun will pay a visit there soon, Julie. And Julie is also saying hello to Katrina. We also have somebody saying hello to you, Kurt. It's Peter Cronin. So that's great to have you here, Peter. Thanks for joining us. We have Danny Paleva, who is going to be a guest, talking about franchise fame. And fame actually is something perhaps we can put into this conversation. Danny's written a lovely book. I would normally have it on my shelves, but I haven't brought my shelves with me. Who else have we got? We've got Jason. We have Jason from the lovely SEO Samba, who are a sponsor of our show. Fantastic to have you here, Jason. I hope you're doing well. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on how SEO works within this particular industry, and how we can combine those two things together. We have Celine. Oh, that's fantastic. Another first timer. We both know Celine very well. From Dynatas, Business is for Sale. Fantastic. Great to have you here. He's put, hey, both, my first time here. Best backdrop in a video call I've seen. Well, there you go. I think you deserve an award for that one. We saw the awards trophy here, and it was incredibly impressive. We've got a question here, actually, from Simon. So we'll go back to that. We'll go back to that in a minute. One of the things that I was going to ask you, Kurt, I think that there's perhaps a perception that advertising on TV is going to be a really expensive thing to do, and perhaps out of the capital budget of some inspiring franchise brands. How do you sort of react to that, and what sort of things can people do to make that fit with their capital budget?
Look, it's probably the question we get asked the most. Personally, when we take the AdSmart story to market and we speak with franchisors, the perception from everyone is, look, just TV is too expensive. Our franchisees are always asking for it, but we just can't facilitate it. We don't have those type of budgets. And also just to produce a TV ad is too expensive as well. And look, that used to be the case, but the landscape has changed so much that actually TV's never been more accessible. So the starting price now to do a 6-week TV campaign is in the region of around £3,000. So that suddenly opens up lots of different opportunities for franchisees and franchisors. And the reason it's become so accessible is just the data that broadcasters can now have access to. So if I talk about Sky, for every Sky Virgin Media customer, we have around 1,200 different data points. So if you think that we can use that data to create really robust profiles and really targeted audiences, and because you're only sort of advertising to the people that matter, that means you're not paying for the others that you don't need. And as a result, the price of entry comes down considerably. And with franchise networks, you have economies of scale. So the more franchisees that are within the network, overall, the price becomes even lower per franchisee. So TV's never been more accessible, not just for franchise businesses, but for businesses of all shapes and sizes. And I think that really has what's got us excited, because as an industry, franchisors in the main have just never looked at TV, just thought it was too expensive and just didn't have those type of budgets. And as a result, we're sort of educating the market really and saying that actually you can do something targeted. And I think what's really appealing to small businesses and franchisors is you suddenly have the opportunity to be able to test TV at a much smaller budget. You might test TV at, £3,000, £4,000, £5,000, £6,000, £7,000. And if it works, great. You then have the confidence to scale up. And if it doesn't, you haven't bet your entire marketing budget on a failed TV campaign. So that opportunity to test and learn and refine is, what's giving people the confidence to say, look, let's give TV a go.
Fantastic. No, great answer to that. Let's bring up a few questions that we've had from the audience. Let's start with something here from Simon. Simon's put, Kurt, where established franchise brands have regional recruitment requirements, can this be facilitated within your offering? That's a great question, because I think that's perhaps my perception, that it was something that has to be national or international. But, is there a facility to be able to incorporate that local recruitment, whether that's for staff or customers, but, can it be a regional or local service?
Yes. So once you have all the data that you use to sort of choose an audience, you can then overlay geography. So some of the geographical attributes that you could use could be local authority level, postcode level, TV region level. So a good example would be Jackson Fire and Security. They wanted to run a recruitment campaign to recruit a franchisee in the Cardiff area, because that was a sweet spot that they hadn't quite been able to convert. So they were able to run a 6-week TV campaign just targeting an audience in the Cardiff area with regards to franchise recruitment. So, you can be really targeted down to postcode, district, postcode, local authority, regions, cities, towns, lots of different factors that you can use. And you, of all people, are going to know the type of audience, the type of profile of who a potential franchisee could be. So you mold that audience, you shape it, and then you overlay the geography, and then we tell you how many of those we can reach. But yes, in answer to your question, you can be really specific down to, a postcode district if you needed to recruit people.
That's fantastic, really interesting. So, I mean, as a viewer, if I was watching television at a particular moment and an advert comes on and I'm in one region, would a different advert be coming on in a different region at that time? Is that how that works?
Yeah, so the TV of old, shall we say, the traditional sort of linear broadcast channels on ITV, Channel 4, BBC, not BBC, of course, but if you were to see an ad on those channels, that ad is going out nationally in the main. So everyone who's watching that program would see the ad at the same time. With targeted advertising, in the case of AdSmart, you're targeting that household. So all of us on this call could be watching the same program on Sky Tonight, but all of us would see different ads. Okay, so we're targeting that household specifically on the criteria that the advertiser or the franchisor has given us, and only that house would see the ad.
Yeah. Right. That's fascinating, actually. And so, in terms of when you said there about choosing your audience, and as a franchising brand, we need to know who our potential audience is. Whether that is our end user or our potential franchisees. There's, we would often say an avatar for that. And when you say choose an audience, is that what you mean by that? Getting that demographic together?
Yeah, I mean, some of the franchisors who have been around longer than others, shall we say, might not have access to, because I suppose the systems might not have been in place to do that data capture. But what we have, for example, across all of our customers is Experian data, first-party data from sort of contract holders to DVLA data, Tesco data, Sainsbury's data, Boots data, lots of third-party data that we can create pictures around. So one of the services that we offer, a number of franchisors have already taken this up with us, is if you're an existing franchise business and you already have, let's say, a minimum 13,000 accounts, and by that I mean first line of address and postcode, we allow you as a sort of franchisor to upload that data into a GDPR sort of compliant portal, and then we do a profiling on that customer database. And we use all the data that we have about our customers, and we match them with your customers, and those ones that match, we tell you about those. So you end up with a 5-page report telling you about affluence, income, Experian, sort of lots of sort of good data that you might not have access to as an existing business already, just to really sort of try and demonstrate that who that sweet spot customer is for you, and who you should go after if you're going to advertise on TV.
That's fantastic. It's moved on a long way from, putting an advert out there that's trying to appeal to the masses. You're now really, it really is smart stuff, that you're trying to target, and fantastic to hear that you can upload some data, combine that with stuff you've already got, and that can create that audience.
Look, franchisors know who their customers are, of course. But sometimes it's nice to get a bit of reassurance from a third party to say, yes, actually, that is what they're earning. This is what their age they are. This is the experience, sort of mosaic profile they're coming within. And it's just nice to sort of get that reassurance sometimes that if you are going to tailor your messaging, maybe you want to tailor it to different audiences.
Absolutely. Let's have a look at what Tim's put here. Tim's put, I spoke with an emerging brand only last week. She said that she could not believe that it would ever be possible for her to put her brand on TV, and it is now, and she's so excited. Yeah, I think that's quite a powerful message, that people don't think that they can put their brand on TV, and it's clear that it's within the budgets of a lot of emerging and mid-sized franchise brands. It's not just the bigger ones that can do it. It's fantastic to hear, and I think this would be news. Talking of Sky News in the background there, but this would be news to a lot of franchisors out there when they're watching this, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, Sky isn't the only player in town. ITVX are doing some exciting things. You've got obviously AdSmart with Sky. We're all using data to find audiences, and we've all got that ability to sort of be really targeted. But we've got someone like Pepe's, for example, might just launch one single franchisee. And what a great way to give them the best start to launching a new business by having a sort of TV campaign to give them a good launch, through to network, franchisors who, through the head office are suddenly saying, look, we'd love to support the entire network. What can we do? And so, yes, the fact that you can go from one franchisee all the way up to a network of hundreds of franchisees is really exciting. So only on Saturday, we just went live with Cash Converters. They're doing their first sort of TV campaign with AdSmart, and they're sort of supporting, over 200 stores across the UK with a targeted TV campaign. So yes, it's great that you can go from one store up to a network of any size.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's really interesting what you said there about launching that franchise store, and when you can get that data down to such close geographical areas. If you've got a QSR store or a coffee shop, I'm not sure why I think of coffee shops straight away, but but if you've got a location like that and you're looking to try and build that end user consumer market, you really can pick a sort of half a mile radius around that site and get on their TVs.
Yeah, the reason franchisors and marketeers like targeted marketing is because it reduces the wastage. And if you can reduce wastage and be more efficient, why wouldn't you take that approach? In the case of QSR brands, we work with Caprinos, we work with Fireway, with Pepe's, with Domino's, with McDonald's. The fact that you can, let's say you might only have a 2-mile radius with Deliveroo or Uber Eats, or only those homes that live within 2 miles will see your advert. So again, it's just about being as efficient as you can and making your money work as hard for you as possible. And I suppose the big thing around TV is just the share of voice, and sort of, I probably, social media is a preferred route for a lot of franchise brands. Absolutely understand the role it plays, but it's the go-to medium for pretty much every franchise brand. So being able to sort of get that cut through or achieve a sort of good share of voice within your area is tough. It really is tough. And lots of content is being created in that space. Whereas TV allows you to have, achieve a good share of voice in your area and really stand out amongst your competitors. But it comes back to, can we reduce wastage? Can we be more efficient? And how do I make my franchisees' money work harder for them?
No, absolutely. We've got a few more questions coming in, which we're going to get to. But if you have just joined us, this is the Franchise Show, and we are talking franchise TV advertising with the wonderful Kurt Edwards, live from Sky HQ. So let's have a little look here. Simon's put, can you capture and forward on viewer data to advertisers? That's a good question. What's your thoughts on that one?
So we capture viewer data, obviously, because of the Sky box. So we know what people are watching, and we can bundle that sort of viewer data together so we can use that as a data attribute to target. So you might want to target Premier League fans or rugby union fans or cricket fans, or so we can target heavy viewers of that content. Or you can create a bespoke audience around people who've watched, food programs or DIY programs, but it's not data that we would share with an advertiser, but it's data we have access to be able to create those audiences.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. No, it's really interesting. It's so intricate and nuanced, and like you say, it's about avoiding that wastage. Why advertise to hundreds of thousands or millions of people when you actually want 400 people that really fit that demographic and are going to really make a real difference?
But it's not something new. Franchisors already are doing targeted marketing. Typically on Facebook, Meta, or Google AdWords, they're already using data to define an audience, and they're using digital channels to deliver targeted marketing. What we do is essentially targeted marketing. It just happens to be on a 55-inch screen in someone's front room. So the notion of being efficient, reducing wastage, isn't new. What is new is just I didn't think I could do it on TV.
Absolutely. Let's have a quick look at a question here from Sanjay.
Yeah.
Sanjay's put, do Sky offer cross-platform advertising options such as combining TV ads with online or radio ads? And how do Sky measure the performance of an ad? What metrics do you provide to advertisers?
Yeah.
There's two parts to that, really, isn't there? I mean, do you combine those different medias, radio and TV, or other forms?
Yeah, I mean, look, probably worth just recapping how the TV landscape has changed. I mean, people are very quick to say that no one watches TV anymore. It just isn't true. People are watching as much TV now as they have done at any point in the last 10 years. How they watch it is very different. People might be watching streaming services like Netflix, Prime, or Disney. A high percentage of YouTube programs are now watched on a full screen TV. You've got established broadcasters, ITV, Channel 4, Sky. You've got on-demand programming. So, you've only got to think about how you consume TV when you go home in the evening. So people are still watching TV. It's just what they're watching is different. So what we do at Sky is, we have the majority of advertisers that we work with will typically do live TV. They'll do on-demand TV. They'll do digital channels like iPad, mobile, desktop. And as a franchisor, you have the opportunity to combine all of those. So they're all the platforms that we have access to at Sky, plus we are the largest provider of sports content on YouTube. We have huge podcasts and things like that. But most franchisors that I work with will typically do live TV, on demand, and digital channels as well. So when it comes to measuring the performance, but the single biggest question that I get asked is, how can I demonstrate to the franchisee network it's working? If we're going to invest that money on a platform, how can I come back to the network and say, look, it's been money well spent? And where Sky is quite unique is the sense that we have the ability to cross-reference your sales data with our audience data. So as a franchisor, so I'll take Fireway for an example, post-campaign, they uploaded all of their sales data, so from deliveries, so they knew exactly where they had delivered. We then upload that data. We then cross-reference it with our broadcast data, and we can tell you of the customers that you've acquired, which ones have had the TV ad shown in their house. So the ability to sort of demonstrate that ROI and say, I spent X, I acquired a certain amount of customers, and I can confidently say this percentage saw my ad on TV. So that doesn't mean the sale came just from TV, but it does determine that TV had a role to play. And you can go back to the network and say, look, this is how we spent the money. This is the data that we've got back, and we can confidently say this is the ROI that we've got. And that is the single biggest question we get asked by all of the franchisors that we work with. If I am going to spend money with Sky, how can I demonstrate that it's worked for me? So as an advertiser, you get lots of reporting. You get daily reporting, tells you the programs that you feature in, the time of day, how many times people have seen your ad. Plus, you get the post-campaign sales data to say, did it work? Because at the end of the day, you're testing TV. You want to make sure it works to give you the confidence to go again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important to make sure that that you can find out if these things are working, or not. And there's so many things that we do when we're looking at different ways of attracting customers where that's a bit of an unknown, actually. In fact, unless it's a very direct thing. So it's fantastic to hear that there is a way to measure at least whether somebody has seen the advert. So it's contributed to at least their awareness. Awareness as well, isn't it? That's a big thing. It's getting in front of somebody regularly in different ways that keeps that brand front of mind. And we sorry, go on. No, please.
Yeah, I was going to say, sorry to interrupt. No one that we work with solely does TV on its own. People just don't do that. Everyone needs multiple touch points. Every media sort of has a different role to play, and there's a blend. You find the right solution that works for you. But so what we do know is that TV makes other media work harder for you. All of the independent research says that. But yes, it's about multiple touch points. I think there is my concern sometimes is with franchisors and TV advertising is TV at its heart is a brand medium. It builds brands, builds fame, builds trust in your brand over time. But there is a tendency to measure it with performance metrics, and so you might come on TV for 5 or 6 weeks and you're looking for it to do the job that you might do Google AdWords or Facebook campaigns with. So there's a fine line, and the reason we do all of that sales attribution and reporting is because people want performance metrics. People want to be able to say, what has my sort of investment done for me? But at the same time, one has to understand the role that TV plays. TV is not a short burst medium. It is a medium that builds brands over time, creates a long story, emotional brand building, builds trust in a brand, and that has a role to play within a media mix.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is that mixture of different things, and you rightly said how people are watching TV and how people are interacting with different media is developing and it's changing. But to actually to be on TV, TVs are getting bigger. We all know this. 25, 30 years ago, we had a sort of 14-inch TV in our living room, and now we've got a 90-inch television. And the rooms aren't getting any bigger, but so that television, it's right within the heart of somebody's home. And I think when you're watching TV, you've set aside some time to do that, and you've got perhaps a little bit more attention than when you're flicking through your phone. It's pretty powerful.
Well, look, we know firsthand. So Sky Glass is obviously, Sky has suddenly, in the last couple of years, become the third largest manufacturer of TVs in the UK through Sky Glass. And we sell a lot of those TVs, and half of those TVs that we sell are the 65-inch version. So people are wanting, and that is definitely a post-pandemic change in behaviour. People spent so long watching TV during the pandemic that they recognize that actually, if I'm going to watch TV, I just want the best experience I can have, the larger screen I can have. And as a result, the larger TVs are the ones that are selling the most. So the opportunity as a brand to be on a 65-inch TV in someone's front living room to either a family or to, an elderly couple retired, is a completely unique opportunity that no other media presents, and that is just, something that's pretty special as a brand to be on that size screen around amazing content that really creates sort of an emotive response from the viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when we're absorbing advertising on our phones, on our laptops, via email, whatever it might be, we're used to brushing that type of advertising aside. I don't think so much with TV because it's been with us for so many years as something that, and you didn't used to be able to skip the adverts. You would watch them. And
Yeah,
adverts were certainly on TV. There were some iconic ones going back, in the past. Some real memorable adverts that
yeah.
really help that brand.
Look, if I was to ask everyone on this call to name the adverts that you remember, they're more than likely going to be a TV advert.
Mm.
TV has that sort of impact. Very timely you asked that question. So the Advertising Association, as of this morning, launched the largest study that they've ever done, that's ever been undertaken in the country around trust in advertising. Because over years, post-pandemic, again, it has slipped. But each medium has very different results. So if you take social media, for example, only 8% of adults over the age of 55 trust advertising in social media, compared to 42% of over 55s trust advertising in TV.
Wow.
But if you look at the younger age group, probably 16 to 34s,
Mm.
they're much more eager to trust advertising in the social media space just because they live through that medium every day. And they are sort of probably less trusting of what they see on TV. So it differs from age groups. But yes, what makes TV quite unique, though, is you cannot broadcast a TV ad in the UK unless it goes through something called Clearcast. It is an independent body funded by all the broadcasters, but you cannot broadcast a TV advert in the UK without it having Clearcast approval. So any claims that you make within the ad are substantiated just to make sure that when an ad is played, people can have full faith and full trust in that ad. And that's why TV is the most trusted medium. So if you want to build a brand, you want to tell your story, which is all about trust. So, for example, take domiciliary care. If you're going to be looking after someone's parents or older people, they need to have absolute faith in your brand, your story, your sort of your offer, and TV just does that really well. And that's not an ad smart thing. That is a TV medium thing.
Mm.
If you see something on TV, when you see those ads at Christmas and that Hoover suddenly goes across the carpet, sucking up all the red wine, that can't be on TV unless it's been proven in the laboratory. So that's why more and more people sort of have faith and trust in what they've seen on TV.
That's
And
really interesting.
that's why brands are so quick to say, as seen on TV.
Yes, yes, that's very much a kind of a household statement to make, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
it certainly traditionally has been, and that shows the power to back reference the fact that it was, known for being on TV.
yeah,
Also, I love what you said there about telling a story. I mean, it is a wonderful segue for me to promote my other show, which is Franchising Brand Stories, because and that's every Thursday, same time, 5:15. And the reason that I did that one, and the reason that we came up with that is it's so important to tell a story. When you're looking at investing into a franchise business, you're looking at putting quite a bit of money into that and a lot of your time. And therefore, you want to really understand the business, the individuals, and the characters. So understanding stories is really important. It brings me on to something I was going to ask, which is, what do you think the purpose of an advert is? Is it to tell that story? Or does it vary from franchisor to franchisor or customer to customer?
The ads that tell a story work better, are more effective. If you can use emotion or humor within a creative, all of the research says that will be more effective for you. What we have seen in recent years is typically 30-second is the normal length of a TV advert. But more and more brands are going with shorter time lengths, 20 seconds, 10 seconds. A lot of the recent research is about attention spans. The more time people spend on social media, people's attention spans seem to be shortening. So as a result, more and more brands are using shorter time lengths. The sort of more well-known your brand, the more confident you are in using a shorter time length, because all you're doing is frequency, keeping your message front of mind. If you're a new brand into the market or a new brand into the area, then it's more than likely you're going to want the 30 seconds, the full sort of canvas to tell your story, and sort of bring people along on that journey. Interesting enough, people are very quick to change creative all the time. They feel like every time they do a new TV campaign, they need a new creative. But all of the research again shows that there isn't a wear out of people creative. Marketeers think they are, because you're surrounded by that creative all the time. But actually, audience and viewers, they don't tire of creative. They would have to see it so many times for them to get bored of an ad. So, you should have confidence if you've made a great creative that it can keep on working for you over time, and you don't need to keep investing in a new ad. But with regards to story and creating an ad, again, people just think creating a TV advert is really expensive. And actually, a lot of brands already have really good video content that they might have created already or they use for their social media platforms. The landscape when it comes to production is so competitive now. Prices have come down. And, we work with lots of different production agencies. For £1,600 plus VAT, they're taking existing video footage, creating a script, adding a voiceover, giving you full rights clearance across all of your platforms, getting clearcast clearance, and distributing to a broadcaster. And that's less than £2,000. Then suddenly you have a 30-second piece of ad that you can use on your own website, on LinkedIn, on your own social media channels. So the cost again has come down considerably.
That's really interesting. Let's go on quickly to a question here from Julie. Julie's put, have any franchisors used AdSmart for franchisee recruitment? You mentioned that a little bit at the beginning about when you can target things locally because someone wanted to recruit somebody in, was it Cardiff, I think you mentioned earlier?
Yeah. Yes, so Kumon have used us for franchisee recruitment. Tax Assist have used Sky for franchise recruitment. Jackson Fire and Security have. My gut feel, however, is I probably wouldn't use TV advertising for it. Yeah, and in terms of recruiting staff or mass market, absolutely. In terms of driving sales, mass market, definitely. But I think to have a 4-week burst or a 5-week burst on TV and to be hitting that potential franchisee in that sort of right state of mind who wants to set up their own business is sometimes a bit too needle in the haystack. And actually, and in many cases, I'm sort of saying to people, I'm not sure that campaign will deliver what you're after. In most cases, all of those brands that I talked about, all of them came back and said we saw an uptick in website traffic. But did we see a really uptick in leads? Did we convert from it? No. And my gut feel is, if someone was to come to me and said, I want to recruit a franchisee in that area particularly, I would be sort of managing their expectations, from the off.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear, because you want to understand how TV advertising can help your business as a franchisor, and in what areas and the best way to use it. And it's refreshing and wonderful to hear that, you're not just going to say it's going to work for everything. It's for certain things, and it works better at building that overall trust, telling those stories. I mean, another question you mentioned there, I mean, we'll take the other side of recruitment, staff recruitment within franchise businesses. How does TV advertising fit within that part of recruitment?
We do a lot of recruitment advertising. You'd imagine in the social care space, real demand for staff in that area. So we work with councils up and down the country, looking for social care staff. We work with bus operators looking for drivers, uh, uh, manufacturing companies looking for staff. Amazon, for example, McDonald's. Lots of people will use AdSmart or TV to, run recruitment campaigns. Just we're hearing the same from everyone. The job recruitment boards have become more expensive. They're not quite converting as they used to. The cost per lead is suddenly more expensive, and people are just exploring different platforms. So yes, in terms of mainstream recruitment, yes, but not franchisee recruitment is
Sure.
my advice.
Sure. No, that's great.
Yeah.
And while we were on the subject of recruitment, I've just put the lovely e-talent. Nick Plebin is going to be a guest next week, one of our sponsors. And it was great to talk a little bit about recruitment and how those two things fit together. And, a fantastic answer to that. And it's useful to hear how potential franchisors, really can use the media to their advantage. A question that I had, and we've touched on it a little bit, was the production uh, of these videos. We see adverts, and we've all watched The Apprentice, and we've all watched them mucking up the production of an advert. And you're right. We've got footage already that we're using, perhaps on a website. Podcasts that have been done. How do you guide people through the process of making a professional advert?
Well, we don't make ads for people, but what we do is we introduce you to production companies who are very good at making ads for brands.
Sure.
There are some simple rules that we advise people. It's always surprising how many people run ads with no voiceover. So if you're going to use a 30-second canvas as a call, you want to tell people what to do and tell them again and then tell them again. Again, it's always surprising how people run a 30-second ad and they don't show the brand or the logo until the 30th second. So we would encourage people to use the entire canvas to tell your brand, to use a voiceover, to use a call to action, give people a website. You might give them a number. You might tell them to search somewhere. The IAB, which is the ThinkBox, which is the marketing body for TV, they did a piece of research last year, and something like 50% of TV commercials are heard and not seen because people are multitasking. Yeah, so lots of people now are sitting there with the TV, they've got their phone and everything like that. But the impact of TV is still huge. So use the voiceover. So it's amazing how many people run ads with no voiceover. So use a voiceover, tell people what you want them to use, have your logo on the front, from the beginning, and those are the simple rules. And when those are applied, we see campaigns work better than the average.
Oh, that's great. And it's great to hear that you can sort of point people in the right direction for the agencies that can help people produce those things. Wonderful to hear a few of those pointers in your experience, telling that story, making sure you've got that, you're addressing all of the senses that you can. Why ignore the sort of the voice and just go to pictures. We are starting to get towards the end today, and we're going to get to this question by Mara. But if you have just joined us today, this is the Franchise Show, and we're talking TV advertising within franchising with the wonderful Kurt Edwards from AdSmart from Sky. So we've got a question here from Mara. And first of all, hi, Mara. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while on the show, so great to have you with us today. And she's put, Kurt, do you think that the franchisor should give a decent amount of time to a TV advert to work before changing it, saying it doesn't work? That's a really good question. Do they run with the same advert, the same message, or is it good to switch that up across?
So if you look at someone like McDonald's, they might have a brand ad that runs for a longer period of time. That could be 30 seconds. And to support that, they might have 10-second ads that are offer led. could be around the breakfast menu, could be around the kids menu, or particular promotion, for example. Those shorter lengths that are offer led will obviously change more often. But I think if you have a TV creative that you think is right for your brand, tells the story, and you feel gets your message across, then I would stick with it. You have to tell people again and again and again what your offer is all about and who you are and what your story is. And if you've got a great ad that tells that, don't change it. It's more about the money that you're going to invest in production. You're better off investing in media to tell more people your story.
Absolutely. And you say about brand awareness, and it's just keeping that front and center of mind. I mean, how long do campaigns generally last? Is it better to do a shorter message for a longer period of time, or tell a story over a series of adverts? Or does that vary from brand to brand depending on what you want to do?
The average campaign typically is around 6 weeks. Remember, you are beholden to your audience turning on the TV and watching. So the longer the time that you can give them, the more chance you have of reaching more people and sort of reaching the audience that you're after. But most campaigns, I would say, are 6 to 8 weeks and a frequency of around 6 to 8. So you are expecting your customer to see your ad on average around 6 to 8 times over that campaign period. And just to give you some sort of comparison, every time someone sees your ad once, it's costing you about 4p, 4.5p. Yeah. So if you're comparing that to your direct mail spending, where you could be doing 25 to 35p per mail shot, it just gives you some sort of sense of comparison. But 6 to 8 weeks is the norm. If you're going to do a promotion, we have some advertisers who will come on and do a campaign for 4 days because they're promoting a sale. So
Sure.
different reasons, but the longer you're on TV, the better.
Yeah,
because you just have more opportunity to reach people and keep on telling them the same story.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got another good question here from Tim. Let's put this one up. Do many advertisers use techniques like QR codes to drive traffic to their site? This is a really good question. And Kurt, you and I sort of talked about this before the show a little bit as to how technology has moved on to allow people to have an even better call to action from these things.
We are seeing more advertisers use QR codes. Brands that want to be seen to be innovative, using new tech and in that space, are more likely to use QR codes. We are seeing some good results depending on the offer within the ad, but I don't think it's mainstream consumer behavior yet. People are just not wired as such as suddenly take their phone out and take a picture of the ad. The great thing about Sky, obviously, and things like the ability to pause the ad so you can capture that. But yet, look, more advertisers are doing it, but I wouldn't say a lot of them are doing it.
No, sure. I mean, while we're on the subject, if you'd like to scan the QR code that's on the screen right now, you can sponsor this show. There you go. Look, there's me using QR codes right here and now. But look, that's a great answer to that question. We have sort of drawn to an end for today. But before we sort of wrap things up, I'd just like to give you the opportunity, Kurt, to give people the best idea as how to get in contact with you, and a little bit of a sort of final thoughts on advertising with Sky and your services.
Yeah. Well, look, the best way to contact me is on LinkedIn. I'll come back to you as soon as I can. But look, I just want to sort of reiterate, Sky's super excited to be working with the franchise industry. We're a BFA member. We sponsored the Elite Franchise Awards last year. We just think it's a great industry that's growing all the time, really entrepreneurial, great people to work with, great brands. And we're just super excited to sort of be working with more and more of you. And, always happy to tell the story, always happy to use all of the assets that Sky has to help you, understand your customers better. And if there's anything we can do to sort of help educate the network about the opportunity, we're here to help. But thank you for today.
Fantastic. No problem. And also, talking again of QR codes, this time there's a QR code on the screen which will take you directly to Kurt's LinkedIn. So please scan that. You can connect with Kurt and find out more about the lovely AdSmart from Sky. So first of all, thank you so much, Kurt, not only for being a guest today, but also for the wonderful hospitality and tour that you've given us today. It's been really exciting and a real pleasure. Really enjoyed the conversation. I think it's really, really valuable for our industry to learn how this type of media can work within the industry. So yeah, I think it's fantastic. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank everyone who's been here today on the show. As ever, this show is because of you. It's driven by you. The conversations are fascinating and interesting because of the fantastic questions that you ask. So thank you for taking the time and spending it with us today. So next week, please join us next Tuesday, 5:15 GMT, 12:15 EST. And we are talking with our lovely sponsor, Nick Plevin from eTalent. And we're going to be talking about using software for the recruitment of staff within our wonderful industry. So please join us next Tuesday at 5:15 for that conversation, and join us in the future on Thursdays or Tuesdays 5:15 for either Franchising Brand Stories or The Franchise Show. So until next time, have a fantastic week ahead and take care. Cheerio, everyone.
Thank you.